All right, so today we are going to be installing an aftermarket bumper along with a winch on our 2018 Jeep Wrangler JL Sahara. Now in this case here, we have the Spartacus front bumper from Rugged Ridge right there. It's a picture of what it looks like. And all of this stuff here is just bumper related. The winch stuff is actually in the house. But in here is just a bumper. We have a bunch of the end caps and stuff right here, like right there. That's what's in these boxes here. This is the winch mount right there, as you can see. So I guess there's not much more to say about it. So let's go ahead and just get into installing it. All right, and here we have the Jeep. Again, this is a 2018 Sahara, and this is the stock bumper right here. So we're gonna go ahead and, like I said, swap this out for the aftermarket one that we will also eventually mount a winch on. I'll try to include that in this video. I'm not 100% sure if we're gonna get to that this weekend, but we'll try our best. Anyways, again, this is what it looks like before. All right, so first step, we need to remove the fog lights there to put on our new bumper, and then we actually have to take off the bumper itself. All right, so we are now under the Jeep, and here's a skid plate, mud guard, whatever you want to call it here. It's just plastic, and we have two 8mm bolts, one right there. And then if we move over here, this is now on the passenger side, we have one right there. And then also to get the bumper off, we have 4 nuts total, two right there. And then if we move over here, we have 2 right there. Same thing on the driver's side, and also on the passenger side. Here's the wheel well. We have a connector right here. Just to press the tab and then you pull it out. All right, we now have the 8 nuts loose. It wasn't all too horrible. If you're using just a ratchet, it would definitely take you a while, but I used a combination of an impact, a ratchet, along with a air-powered ratchet. And you can see on the driver's or on the passenger side here, it is loose. It's also loose on the driver's side. We just haven't pulled it completely out yet. So let's go ahead and do that. All right, so here we have the bumper off. That's what it looks like right there. And next what we're gonna do is take out the fog lights. I'm not 100% sure on how we're gonna get those out. I'm not sure if you take this bit off here and that'll give you access to them, or if you have to go in through the back. I think you have to go in through the back though. I guess we'll see. I'll give an update when we figure that out. All right, so now with the bumper off, this is the side that would be on the driver's side here, and you have this little panel that you need to take the little push pins out of. You have one there, you can see all the holes where they were, and then you also have one right here, which was a little bit different looking, same idea though, and then you also have one right in there, if you can see that right there. And I'm not even going to fully remove this because it's kind of a pain. I'm just going to kind of slightly bend it out of the way, and there is your fog light. Looks like we have looks like 4 probably 8mm bolts, and it should just come out as a pod, like as an assembly. All right, fog light is removed, and I was actually wrong. It is 4 7mm bolts, not 8mm. Anyways, you can see the entire assembly is out right there, and you can see that we have this kind of lower air dam, whatever you want to call it, off. It is right there. It's just a bunch of these clips. I don't think you have to completely take that off. You can just kind of bend this little bit out of the way, but if you don't want to do that, you could take it out like we did, and it'll give you a lot more room to get these bolts out here. So let's go ahead and continue on. All right, so now for separating the bumper into 2, this is the, I guess you'd call it the inside piece, and then that is the outside piece there. That's what you actually see on the outside, and then this piece here goes right on the inside, right along there. It's a little bit of a pain getting it out. It's just a bunch of, I believe they're 7 or 8mm bolts. I think they're 7 mils, just all along here. You'll see them when you take yours apart. It's probably, I would say, I don't know, 15, maybe even 20. However, you just zip it right out with like an impact tool, and it doesn't take all too long. And then for getting this wiring harness out, just a bunch of these clips here. This took us a little while, but using like a a clip removal tool like that one there, or even like a flat-bladed screwdriver would probably even work to get that out. So really, this is quite a kind of like a difficult process just getting this all out. It's not difficult, should I say. It's more just time-consuming than anything. All right, so here is the winch plate. We're gonna have to get that on. And in order to do that, we're gonna have to take this bar off. It looks like it's just 2 bolts, maybe, I'm gonna guess 15 mil. Probably wrong, but I guess we'll see. So we have to get this off, and I think we also have to take off this bracketry here. Not 100% sure, but I'll get back with you guys in just a moment. All right, to get this off, it's actually 2 16mm bolts right here. You can see I might just zip them out with the impact. So once you get those out, it's not gonna fall. Keep that in mind. You actually have to push up on it slightly to release that tab, but overall it does come out relatively easily. There you go. All right, so that bar that we got off previously, we're gonna set that off to the side. We're not gonna be using it. And then you're gonna have to get these little bits off here, these little brackets right here. They mount on, let me flip it around like that. And you have one 16mm bolt there on the driver's side, and then another 16mm bolt on the passenger side. So you'll have 2 brackets off and 2 16mm bolts. All right, so here we have the winch bracket on right here. I have it loosely on. Now that bracket that I showed you guys a minute ago here that we took off, that 16mm bolt one here, you're actually going to want to put that back on. You're going to slip that in between the winch bracket and the actual frame. Now in the instructions, it doesn't mention whether to put this on or not. And we're also watching a video, and in that video, the guy didn't even put these on. Instead, it kind of just bent the bracket over. But we are able to slip this, the OEM bracket back in there. So that's what we're gonna do, just add some more strength in there. I assume it's not 100% necessary though. So you can see, just loosely in there right now. Same thing on the passenger side right there. And there's that bracket that we took off a couple minutes ago. Now that long bracket right there that we were talking about a couple minutes ago, that is not on the Rubicon models. That's on every other trim level except for the Rubicon, because the Rubicon actually has a skid plate there instead of that. Next thing we're gonna put on is this bracketry right here. I believe this, these 4 holes right here mounts to these holes right here, these 4 right here. And then it goes right down here, I think, to that hole on the frame. And then same thing over here. Maybe not. I'm not 100% sure. I'll have to look back at the instructions just to clarify. But bottom line, that's what we're going to be putting on next. All right, so for attaching this bracket here, what you're going to need for up here, attaching it to the winch plate here, you're going to need 4 bolts, 4 nuts, and a total of 8 washers. As you can see right there, they're all on. They're not tightened up though. Keep that in mind. Pretty much all of this is still loose. As you can see, it's just in there enough to hold it up. Now for over here, attaching that bracket to the frame rail, you're gonna need two bolts, 2 washers, and then also you have this little plate here with some nuts welded to it right there. I'll try to show you guys the best I can up here. Those, there you go, you can see it right there. Now keep in mind, this is a extremely small hole, so it's gonna be kind of a pain. It'll take you a little bit of time, but we need to do that on the passenger side here. So I'll be back in a moment when we get that done. All right, so now we're gonna attach the tow hook here. So we have this bracket, and then we have the tow hook. And you just need to kind of move this bracket around a little bit for the what's called the winch, and you can just poke the 4 studs for the tow hook here through there, and you're just going to loosely tighten on those nuts there, just to kind of hold everything in place. Again, don't get it too tight because you're gonna have to move this slightly around to get that bumper on there. Now we did paint these red. Just so that it could kind of look like, you know, a Rubicon look. We've always liked the red, so that's what we decided to paint them. All right, so here we have the winch. It is centered right there to the grill. And if we scoot under here, you can see there is 3 out of 4 bolts just loosely in there right now. Now for the 4th one, we're actually going to use basically a locking bolt, so then nobody can just come here and loosen those bolts and take your winch. I've heard a lot of people kind of tack weld the bolts on there, and that's not a good idea, because what if you have to get this thing off? Then you're gonna have to figure out a way to break the weld. So we're just gonna use this winch lock factor 55 right here. There it is. I'll show you around the box. So that's what we're going to be using. It says don't over tighten, so keep that in mind right there. So yeah, let's go ahead and get it on. Now off the vehicle, we did test this. You probably want to do that if you are getting a winch. Test it before you put it on the vehicle. The last thing you want to do is put this thing all together and then find out the winch doesn't work. But this thing here, it is working just fine. All right, so we now have the bolts under here torqued down to 30 foot-pounds. Now we were going to use that locking bolt. However, the threads were different, so we couldn't. We just put it back in the box. So right now we just have 4 normal bolts in there, and they are torqued down. Okay, so here we have the bumper. Now from shipping, they have these little rubber inserts on the threads there. You just take those off. We're not going to need them. And here is one of the inserts here. That's where the fog light goes right there. We already have one temporarily put in right here. So there you go. All right, so here we have the bumper set up. All these nuts are in there. We have the wires here tie wrapped right to there. We also have the fog lights in there with the 4 screws on both sides. And then we also have this little spring here to actually push against this plastic insert here. This pushes against the bumper bracket. Be sure those are in there. And then we also have the this bit here for the winch, where the winch will actually go through the bumper. That's all bolted in right there. All right, so here we have the bumper temporarily put on along with the winch. So for bolts, what you're gonna have is 4 over here, 4 over here, and then I believe there is 2 on the bottom. Yep, right there, and then 2 right over there. Now, I was actually able to put this plate back on. It barely clears, but it does fit. If you want to put it back on there, you can. So from here, what we're gonna do is we're not gonna put that little, I don't know what to call that, that wing piece, I guess you could say. We're not gonna put that on the passenger side yet because we are still doing the wiring for the winch here, which I'll show you guys where I got that routed in just a moment, but it goes down there. We are gonna get some wire loom so then this wire doesn't get chafed over time. So let's go ahead and get on the driver's side wing since we're not obviously doing any wiring over here. All right, so we now have this piece on. To get it on, there are 2 bolts here. And then if we go underneath, there are 2 right there. And then for this little piece here, you just basically push that in and it will clip in. And there you go. That's what it looks like with it on versus with it off. All right, so here it is. The bumper and the winch are installed. Now we haven't done the wiring for the winch yet, just kind of sitting up there. We're gonna do that a little bit later on. Still in the same video though, but we do have the wires ran. I'll try to show you guys the best I can where we put them. We did put the wire wrap around them so then they don't get chafed on anything. They run up there. We had to take out the air box. I'll probably show you guys this a little bit more later on. But yeah, there you go. That's what it looks like. Kind of back up here to show y'all. There you go. Definitely looks pretty good. I do like it. So especially these red tow hooks here, just really sets it off. Looks really good. So yeah, overall, pretty happy so far.